Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. I am showing you guys probably one of my favorite ingredients to work with today, and that is figs. I have a fig tree in my yard. I love using those for everything. We make fig vodka, we make roasted figs on fig leaves, but this is one of the favorite recipes to do, and that is a roasted fig gelato. Absolutely phenomenal flavor. For those of you that don't know the little differences between between gelato and ice cream. Ice cream typically does have a higher fat content, but in this case, this gelato does have a little bit more fat. But you want to start out with these fresh figs. I've got these beautiful black mission figs. You want to cut them in half and cut that stem off. They're going to go onto a foil-lined tray, cut side up. No oil, no water, nothing on top, and they're going to go into a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. And then while the figs are roasting, we're going to come over to our food processor, and we're going to add our heavy cream. We're going to add about a third cup or fourth cup of sugar. I've cut this recipe in half for filming purposes, so you might see a little bit more when you actually see the recipe. We're going to scrape in some sweetened condensed milk. And then one of the last things we're going to add, we're actually adding cream cheese. Now your recipe is going to say mascarpone cheese, and that is totally fine to use as well. Mascarpone is just a highly whipped Italian cream cheese, a little bit richer in flavor, but it is a little less expensive to use cream cheese, and it's perfectly fine, a perfectly fine substitute. So we've got some cream cheese we're adding to that mixture as well. You're going to turn your food processor on, and you want this to be nice and smooth. And you don't want to spill it on yourself, but you might. All right, I'm going to check this. Oh yeah, very nice. Now, just with any ice cream at all, but particularly this one, you want your ingredients to be nice and chilled. So we're going to be adding this to our refrigerator. And it is going to go probably, I like to let mine go overnight, but as long as it has several hours before you make the ice cream, it is totally fine. So this is going to go into the refrigerator and get chilled for us. In the meantime, I do already have a batch that is perfectly chilled and ready to go. And we have it right here. And then just to also let you know, what's going to happen is when the figs are done roasting, you're going to also put them in the food processor. And this is what you're looking for in the texture-wise there. So we've got pureed figs, and we've got our cream mixture here. And we're going to start our ice cream maker. I'm going to start with the cream mixture. All right. And then we're going to add the pureed figs. You're going to turn your ice cream maker on to your manufacturer's directions for whichever one you own. And this needs to go probably about 30 minutes, give or take. And then at the end of it, almost churning, we're going to be adding some brandy and some balsamic vinegar. Vinegar in ice cream, it works amazingly well. So we're going to turn this on, and we're going to come back in about 20 to 30 minutes. All right, and we're back. Our ice cream has been churning for about 30 minutes or so. At the end of this process, you do want to come back in and add a little bit of balsamic vinegar and brandy, and believe me, it really pounces up the flavor. We're going to put a little bit of balsamic in there and a little bit of brandy. And the last little bit of acid that we're going to add is some lemon juice. I am going to put a little strainer over here because I don't want that to make sure I don't have any seeds. I'm going to squeeze that right in. We're going to let that finish churning for just a few minutes. And then we're going to be scraping that out. In the meantime, while that's finishing up, let's pull those figs that I started roasting in the oven just so you see those. They were in here about 15 minutes or so. This is what they look like. Remember, we didn't put anything on it. There was no oil, there was no water. We need to let this cool, or you'll need to let this cool when you make this recipe, Once they've cooled off, they'll go into the food processor and they make that puree that I've already shown you that we had done ahead of time. All right, this looks ready. Go ahead and turn that off. And now what you're going to want to do is scrape it into a container that you can put in your freezer. You do want to let this go. It's better, to be honest, overnight. But at least if you're going to have this at dinner, you want to make sure you do this early in the morning if you don't do it overnight. Scrape that right out of there. I'm going to grab a smaller spatula. You want to get all that delicious goodness off of that churning paddle. All right. We can let that kind of rest on the side for a minute. I'll take my bowl off. You can just go in here and scrape this. You might see big chunks of the fig, and you're certainly going to stir this up, but there's nothing wrong with those big chunks. I believe we got most of this out of here. Now, once this does sit overnight, it really does not firm up like some ice creams do overnight, and that is perfectly fine. You just want a firmer texture, but it is crucial that it does go into the freezer for several hours, if not overnight. So I do have a batch that's already finished in front of me here. This was done yesterday. I'm going to serve it into a bowl. Now you could easily put this on an ice cream cone, a waffle cone if you'd like. It's up to you. I personally like it out of a bowl and not have any other flavors fighting for my attention. We'll do one more scoop. All right. Garnish that with a fresh fig on top or two. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. And there you have it, roasted fig gelato. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.